Oggi sono qui all'Ambasciata d'Italia in Brasile. I'm at the Embassy of Italy in Brasilia today to show you how they managed to keep this beautiful garden here, fertilizing the plants using compost made from cups and napkins. Hold on, wait, it's not quite like that. Do you see this beautiful building here? This is the Embassy of Italy in Brazil. An embassy is an official representation of a foreign government. So here, people take care of the relations between Italy and Brazil. Embassies exist to bring countries closer. So they work to make this happen in politics, in the economy, in culture, and in science. Amid all this, countries exchange experiences. And the embassy's waste management is a great example of that. Italy is among the countries that manages its waste well, avoiding sending everything to landfills. They are able to recycle what is recyclable and also make use of organic matter. This is the world's first embassy with a zero waste certification. To achieve this, they needed to properly dispose of at least 90% of the waste that would normally go to a landfill. They managed to reach 97%. There is an international institute, the Zero Waste International Alliance, which in Brazil is represented by the Instituto Lixo Zero, that checks whether the waste is being sent to landfills or if it is being reused. Those who meet all requirements earn the Zero Waste certification. Over 300 cities in Italy are working to achieve zero waste. Of course, in a city this is much more difficult because it generates much more waste. Still, several goals are monitored and supervised.
Welcome to the Embassy of Italy in Brasilia. It is a great satisfaction to know that the Embassy is a pioneer in environmental policies that contribute to the protection of the environment, also involving Brazilian waste management cooperatives that pursue social goals. I am very proud that Italy can once again be a point of reference in environmental sustainability, and we know that the Italian model has inspired two important Brazilian cities, Florianopolis and Rio de Janeiro, candidates for the Zero Waste Cities project.
You hear me mention waste a lot, but I haven't used the word trash yet because they're different. Waste refers to materials that have served their original purpose, but can still be recycled, reused, or composted. Trash is different. It's something that can no longer be used, that has to go to the landfill, or sometimes is even burned or incinerated. To minimize trash, it's important to start at the collection stage. Of course, there's a difference between a city and a building, but many things are similar. A notable culture change here is replacing all office trash cans with just a recycled paper collector. If you create any waste, like from candy or a banana, you'll need to take it to a collector outside the office. This really discourages waste generation. Another cool thing is that there's a water fountain here, and we don't have that cup holder next to it because this isn't a public access area, and only the employees drink this water, so they get a bottle like this one. And it's with this bottle they get water from the fountain. Here, they sort waste into 3 types. Non-recyclables are basically our trash: bathroom waste, disposable masks, and cigarette butts. They go to the landfill. But here, they make up only 3% of the total waste volume. Just so you have an idea, this is how much non-recyclable trash is generated in a single day. Remember, dozens of people work here, plus the public coming for passports, visas, and citizenship. Efforts are underway to further reduce this non-recyclable waste here. So, next month, for example, cigarette butts won't come here anymore. They found a Brazilian technology from the University of Brasilia that recycles cigarette butts. Dry waste like paper, plastic, metal, glass, and electronics can also be recycled. They go to recycling cooperatives. This ensures that they will be reused as raw materials and also generates income for many people who work in collection, sorting, and transportation. And then there are the organics, which are food scraps, paper napkins, branches, leaves, and even coffee cups. They've banned all disposable plastic here. Previously, they used about 28,000 cups a year. These new ones don't have that issue. They're compostable and mixed with organic material. Let's see how it works. We've already shown the composter in the Minhocasa video here. There, the worms eat the food scraps, and that causes the nutrients to be broken down and returned to the soil. And then we use that soil for planting. But worms are good for us to use at home when the amount of waste isn't very large. Here, they needed a different solution because they have to compost a lot more material. The solution was to develop these composters here. They're based on a study from the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and instead of worms, they use bacteria, which are found in most of the material placed inside. It works like a lasagna. You add a layer of nitrogen-rich organic material, then a layer of pruning residues, which provide carbon and protect the organic material from animals like rats, flies, blowflies, and other disease carriers, and keeping the composter at the right temperature. You might expect a bad smell, but there's none. Because everything is in balance. There's the right amount of bacteria, the right amount of material, and the ideal conditions for them to work. A very important thing about this is these grates that let air in. Because the important bacteria here are aerobic, they need air to survive. If this were closed, we'd have other bacteria, the anaerobic ones, those that don't use oxygen from the air. And yes, there would be a bad smell. Also, you can't sense through the screen how hot it is here. This decomposition process generates a lot of heat, and the bacteria like that. That's why this process is called thermophilic composting. Thermo for temperature and philic because the bacteria like it. Shall we put in a thermometer? It's 93 degrees in Brasilia. 142.16. I used to think I liked the heat, but I guess I'm not that much of a thermophile after all. The bacteria work for 3 to 5 months. Then we remove and sift the material from under the composter. The material that stays in the sieve goes back to composting, and what passes through is this. It's a compost that's super rich in nutrients. It's a great natural fertilizer that can be mixed with the soil when planting. The cool thing is that when you look closely, you can't see any napkins or any cup remnants or anything like that. The bacteria handled everything, but that's not all. Beneath the compost bins is a tarp, then gravel, sand, and a perforated pipe to collect leachate. Unlike landfill leachate, this one has no odor. It's a great biofertilizer. It's also a natural fertilizer that can be used when watering the plants. It's so strong it must be diluted at a ratio of 1 to 10. They produce so much that they even give it to some organizations, since there's still leftover material even with all this greenery. Here at the Embassy Garden, the cycle is completed. The nutrients that were in the food scraps go back to the plants and become part of new food. Let's try this lettuce here. Yum!
The Embassy of Italy recovered its initial investment in under 18 months just by getting rid of the dumpsters we used to have outside the embassy, which is very common here in Brasilia, for collecting garden waste. All suppliers must follow our zero waste policy and minimize waste generation here.
After seeing this whole process, we start paying much more attention to our own waste. And sometimes we think that dealing with this process is very difficult, that there's no way to help. But imagine if we could put some of these solutions into practice, like they did here at the Embassy of Italy, and reduce up to 90% of the waste from our homes. That'd make a big difference. Honestly, after this video, we got a lot of cool ideas, right? You probably clicked this video because you enjoy sustainability projects. So, one time we made a rainwater collector, which is really simple, using PVC pipes, and it worked out great. It's been here on Manuel do Mundo for almost a year. You should check it out.